Alright guys, Aston Villa have just beaten Southampton by a goal to nil in a game which, if we're being completely honest, isn't one that's going to live very long in the memory. It wasn't the most exciting game ever. Aston Villa in the first half were definitely the better side, and they created a few chances. Philip Coutinho, I thought, had his best game in an Aston Villa shirt in a while. I feel like for him it started really well at Aston Villa in like January, February, and March, but since around then it's gone a bit stale, a little bit like towards the end of last season and start of this season. But yeah, he had a decent game tonight and was at the heart of pretty much anything good that happened for Aston Villa, including their goal, which came from one of his crosses from a corner that he earned from a like making a really clever run to the back post, but Gavin Bazunu managed to save his header. Um, and yeah, it was the goal. It was a bit of a freak goal, a little bit. There wasn't much Bazunu could do about Watkins's header. Well, he saved, as in like there wasn't much he could do about directing it. He managed to save it, looped up into the air, bounced off the bar, and it took a few deflections off a couple of players and fell to Jacob Ramsey, who once again volleyed it onto the bar and in. And yeah, it was a little bit fluky, but Ramsey was in an offside position, and VAR did check it. He was in an offside position when the ball was headed by Watkins, and I think a couple of seasons ago when we were getting dodgy VAR's decisions left, right, and centre, I think that goal probably gets disallowed. But I'm glad it wasn't disallowed because there's so much that happens in between Watkins's header and Ramsey's volley that it's like almost a completely new phase of play. So I'm glad it didn't get disallowed because I could honestly like see that a few seasons ago getting disallowed. So yeah, good that they didn't disallow it in my opinion. Was quite looking forward to watching Southampton because I haven't seen lots of them so far this season. I watched them against Man United, and I think that might even be it. I really haven't seen a lot of them this season. I've seen all the highlights to their games, but the only game I've watched the full 90 minutes of theirs was against Man United, and they weren't at their best that day. But they had apparently a great performance against Chelsea a couple of weeks ago. And so yeah, I was looking forward to watching them because they got some brilliant young players like Bazunu in goal, Armel Bella-Kotchap, Kyle Walker-Peters still relatively young, Salisa at the back as well. Lavia is currently injured, but also in midfield and attack, they've got Sekou Mara on the bench who came on in the second half. So they've got lots of brilliant young talent. So I was looking forward to watching them, but yeah, they just really didn't do enough today. Created very little in both halves, even in the second half, where they probably had a bit more possession of the ball than Villa, but just didn't do anywhere near enough with it. Like Emiliano Martinez in the Villa goal was very rarely troubled by Southampton. So yeah, that's a bit of a problem for them. I'm not. I'm not. If I was a Southampton fan, I wouldn't be too worried about relegation because Southampton seem to year on year just like constantly go on runs where they either, they have a couple of months where they'll lose the majority of their games, and then they'll have a couple of months where they actually win like quite a fair few games, like go on a run of like the form of like a Europa League side. So yeah, I think they'll still stay up, especially as there does seem to be three weaker teams than them in the Premier League, is what I'm trying to get at here. And a lot of the things tonight, I just think just didn't quite click. Like they were missing Romeo Lavia, who has played there pretty much every minute up until I think he got injured in the Chelsea game, which he actually scored the winner in, I think. So yeah, he's a big miss for them because he's come in and replaced Oriol Romeo. So without him, they were playing Diallo in there tonight, and he definitely didn't have the same presence in midfield that either of those two players have. Romeo and Romeo have. And yeah, Ward-Prowse was having to do a lot more work in that midfield than he is usually used to doing, I thought. And El-Yunusi, sorry, and Genepo, they weren't creating enough out wide, so that was a problem as well. In the second half, when they did make a few subs, bringing Mara and Armstrong on, and a few others, Aribo as well, that's when they got better. But they have been a bit reliant recently on impact subs in the second half. Southampton, like there was a statistic that came up during the game of they have picked 7 points up so far this season from losing positions, which is partly good and partly bad because it does show that they are constantly giving the opposition team a head start, but it also shows that they don't let their heads drop when they do get down. But tonight they didn't like completely give up. They just struggled to really create anything. In fact, I think you have to give some props to Villa for that because they did defend fairly well. Tyrone Mings had a very good game, I thought. He's not usually a player who I'm a massive fan of, but I think he played very well tonight. Ashley Young at right back too, considering his age, he managed to keep Southampton from causing any problems down the left-hand side. And in midfield, Douglas Luiz, when he came on in just before half time for Kamara, he had a good game in the second half. I thought even Villa in attack they didn't look great. When other than Coutinho, Leon Bailey wasn't up to much. Ramsey got his goal but didn't do much else during the game. Watkins, he was making good runs, but there wasn't quite the service for him. So they were still struggling attacking wise a little bit, Villa. But the one positive they can take from this is defensively they are looking a bit better tonight. Because they have been a bit worried about that with the injury of Diego Carlos. They're, probably their headline signing of the summer, along with maybe Coutinho and Kamara. Carlos was the one that cost the most money, basically. And so with him being injured, that's a massive blow, really. So they've done well to respond to that with a clean sheet. So, yeah. As I've already said, it's not a game that's going to be remembered, especially considering the last two results in this fixture being a 4-3 win to Southampton in 2020 and a 4-0 win to Villa in February this year, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.